There's a little cartoon going around immigration lawyers on Facebook, and it's a picture of Justin Bieber. It's a mask you can hold over your face, and it says, "To avoid deportation, just put on this mask." Justin Bieber's the flavor of the week, but as long as I've been in immigration law, there's been exceptions for artists and entertainers, and I often use them in my teaching. There are really strict penalties in immigration law for criminal behavior, but we also are fairly generous with temporary visas and waivers for people who are in artists or sports. I think in many areas of law, we might say there's a hypocrisy where the law is very strict, and most of the people being deported today, President Obama has deported his administration more people than any prior administration. It's 1.9 million people have been deported in the last 7 years. The majority of those people have some kind of criminal conviction. So then why would it be that a sports player or someone who physically assaults their spouse or someone like Justin Bieber is involved in fistfights and dangerous driving, why shouldn't he also be under the enforcement of the immigration law? So he might be. I don't know that he's out of, he's in the clear. You have to have a final conviction before they can act on you in immigration status. But I do, again, in my principles, all right, we have a rule that says you commit a serious crime, you maybe are going to be deported, but we should have the ability of the immigration judge to consider the totality of the circumstances and to say if this person's lived here a very long time in the United States and their family is going to be bereft if they're removed, let's have a balance, because deportation law is not the criminal justice system. So appropriate sanction in the criminal justice system, and then hopefully some balance in the immigration system, and I would think we do want waivers. Let me give you a great example. We have a law that says if you have ever advocated the violent overthrow of a government, you are inadmissible to the United States. That's our anarchist ban. Anarchists, communists, because they were committed to violent overthrow, they can't come to the United States. Did you know that Nelson Mandela was on that list? Because at the time he was working with the ANC, they did say they might have to use violence to bring about the end of apartheid and a revolution in South Africa. So after he was released from prison and he became a political figure in South Africa and he wanted to come and speak at the United Nations and in New York, our government had to give him a waiver. So immigration law can be really tough. We should have enforcement, but really what I'm advocating is a system where people are taken as individuals and waivers are possible. At the immigration court, they have created a day at the court each month. There's actually 5 days each month, but we cover one of those days, where I bring law students, volunteer lawyers, volunteer interpreters, and we are there at the court when the children appear. These are children who've been traveling alone. They were caught at the airport or caught at the border or caught at being truant. Usually it's at the airport or the border. The median age is 12 to 14, and they're trying to find a better life. Some of them, their parents sent them. Some of them, they're running away from home. Some are looking for a relative here in the United States who maybe came 10, 12 years ago, but that person has no way of sponsoring them. And this is hard to believe in America. Children have no right to free lawyers in deportation proceedings. So I was observing court and I saw a little boy named Miguel. He was 7 years old. He'd been in the country 3 months. He was alone. The interpreter was being as nice as she could be to him. He is shaking in the court chair. He's gripping the arms of the chair. The judge is being as nice as she could be. The prosecutor is actually being very nice. And they're trying to figure out, how did Miguel get to court that day? Turned out his father was downstairs, but was afraid to come into the building. And Miguel actually has a right to stay in the United States because Congress has a provision in the law that allows children to get status. But to get that status, they need a lawyer to navigate the court system. We have to go to family court, we have to go to immigration court. So I went back to the New York Immigration Court and I said, New York Law School and Safe Passage Project will partner with the court, and that's what we do. We now we assist in the representation of more than 250 children. We've got 70 law students involved at any one time. They can get involved as first-year students, evening division students, and we have 140 lawyers doing free legal representation.